Thursday. So I'm Brianna Owens. I own Practicing Yoga in South St. Louis City. Welcome to our very first YouTube video on our brand new channel. I'm so excited that you guys are here from near and far. So basically what we're going to do today is we're going to do just kind of a basic flow. If you take my classes a lot of these movements will seem familiar to me. I'm kind of just going to pepper in a lot of my favorite moves. If you don't normally take my classes, I'm going to do my best to offer really clear alignment cues. The beauty of doing this on a video is that you can pause and you can rewind and you can watch something again or listen to something again if what I said didn't make sense the first time. So we're going to just do our best to move and breathe and be. I'm here in my makeshift yoga studio at home where I pushed all the stuff out of the way. These will get better as I continue to realize the best sort of places in my house to place myself. So you might need 2 blocks at the top of your mat. You might not need them at all, but they're kind of nice to have sometimes. So if you have something, if you don't have a block, if you have something that is roughly the same shape and size, just use that. Books are a really good option. Some ones that have like some heft. So if you have like the Fountainhead or something and you can't bring yourself to get rid of it, or any Steinbeck novels that are itching to be used, now is a great time to use those. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna start in a seat. And I invite you to start sitting back onto your shins and your heels. And once you do this, if this is already really uncomfortable for you, you can utilize one of your blocks, and you're just gonna bring it on the lowest setting. And you're gonna place it right between your ankles, and you wanna just kind of hug the block with your ankles like it's your best friend. We can't hug anything right now except our blocks. So this just gives you a little bit of extra height and a little bit of extra support if that didn't feel so good earlier. So use whatever you need to use. We're gonna meet in this seat. And once you get there, close your eyes. If closing your eyes doesn't feel safe to you today, then you can keep them just lightly open, sort of gazing just past the tip of your nose somewhere. Dropping your hands into your lap, palms up or face down. And starting to do a quick body scan here, starting with the crown of your head. And you know, as soon as I said that, I noticed that I was holding a lot of tension in my shoulders and sort of hiking them up towards my ears, which I tend to do in times of stress. So that's a common thing that we do, if you know that you do that as well. You don't need to pin your shoulder blades down your back, but just notice if you can allow everything to get a little heavier. Your exhales can help with that. So again, starting from the crown of your head, just begin to pour your consciousness and your awareness everywhere in your being, everywhere in your vessel. Seeking out any little bits of tension, any bits of gripping. It's easy to judge ourselves for those sorts of things, but do your best not to, and instead use your breath to release something. And then just as you're becoming more aware and you're observing your physical body, turn that same consciousness to your mental space. How's it feeling today? It's probably pretty noisy. We're not here to judge any thoughts that we have. We're here to notice them, to sit with them, and then to choose which ones we'd like to react to and which ones we'd rather not react to right now. Notice what your breath is doing. Is it feeling full and expansive today? Is it getting stuck in some places? Doing your best to find that expansiveness of your breath, to fully send your inhales everywhere in your body, and to find more grounding each time you exhale. When you feel ready, bring your hands to meet at the center of your chest in a prayer position. Lift your heart into your thumbs and humble your head towards your fingertips, bowing in. Starting our practice today from this space of honoring yourself, of being grateful for this body that you have, being grateful for this chance to practice together. How cool. We have so much to feel grateful for right now. Use the next few rounds of your breath to set any kind of intention that you'd like to for your practice. That can be something for you or for someone else, something you're breathing into or something you're letting go of. How are you contributing to the collective right now? How do you want to show up for yourself so that you can show up for others? We'll take a round of breath together, so let all of your air out. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Big open mouth exhale. Release your hands. Blink open your eyes. Then we're going to come around to a tabletop, hands and knees. And throughout this practice, as I kind of said earlier, I'm going to try and give a lot of alignment cues. If you know a lot of these alignment cues, then you can just kind of do your own thing, but I'm not sure who else is tuning in, so I want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases here. So from your tabletop, wrists are going to come right underneath your shoulders, and your knees are going to be right underneath your hips. Just take a look, make sure. We want to spread our fingertips wide here, almost like you're placing your hand into a glove. Root down into your index mounds. Those are the first things that kind of pop up. So see if you can keep rooting down into this part of your hand. And then from here, we're going to move through some cat and cow motions. So on your next inhale, you're going to tilt your sit bones up and back. Draw your shoulders away from your ears and your heart forward. Think about pressing the back of your skull up towards the sky. As you exhale, start to round your spine, doing the reverse of that. Tucking your tailbone under and pulling your chin in towards your chest. Push into your hands a ton, round that upper back. We'll move with our breath. So as your next inhale comes, finding your cow pose, tilting up and back, puffing the heart forward. And exhale into your cat round. You are welcome to continue doing this with your breath, or you might need some additional movements in your spine. So I always kind of like to roll around and do whatever I feel like that day. There's no rules here. There's really no rules throughout our whole practice. So do what feels good in your body, please, always. And you can always pause somewhere. You can pause this video to go get some snacks. So we're going to return to our tabletop. Spin your fingertips way out wide to this side so they're facing the sides of your mat, and then just rock side to side, warming up our wrists. Return to center. Spin your fingertips around to face your knees. And if they don't make it all the way to face your knees, don't worry about it. They can be at a little bit of an angle here as well. Do your best. And then I'm going to lean forward a little. And then I'm going to lean way back. So I'm stretching out my forearms and I'm stretching out my wrists again. I want to keep my palms rooted still. And you might find that you're not leaning back nearly as far as me. I have quite a bit of mobility in my joints. So don't worry about it. If you're not leaning back as far as me, who cares? And then slowly come forward again. Spin your fingertips back to face the front of your mat. On an inhale, I'm going to extend my right leg long behind me. Leave my toes on the mat to start. And then I'm going to reach my left arm, I'm mirroring, and I am not mirroring right now. This is a video, so I'm going to reach my right toes back behind me, for real this time. And then I'm going to reach my left arm alongside my ear. Now you can stay right here, or you can lift your right leg up to hip height And imagine I've got a hold of your wrist and I've got a hold of your ankle and I'm drawing you in opposite directions. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, round your spine and pull your elbow and your knee to touch each other. Press into that right hand. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale, you're reaching out long. Exhale, you're drawing everything in. Inhale, long. Exhale, in. Return to your tabletop, and we'll switch. Left leg is gonna reach back, toes on the mat. Right arm reaches alongside the ear. You can also tent your right fingertips and just bring them like you've got a little mountain peak underneath there. That's just fine too. Stay here, or lift that left leg up. Imagine I've got a hold of your wrist, I've got a hold of your ankle. I'm drawing you in opposite directions. Take an inhale. Exhale, round, elbow and knee touch, or come close to it. Inhale, extend. Exhale, puff, round. 1 more, inhale up. Exhale, in. Tabletop. And then sit back onto your heels and your shins again. If you need that block, you can grab it. We're gonna be here just for a second. On an inhale, reach the arms up by the ears. Interlace your fingers overhead. Flip your palms up to face the sky. Take an inhale here and find space between your ribs and your hips. Notice what your booty is doing. So if you're doing this, that's gorgeous and it's beautiful, but see if you can, oh, there's a Mavis. I'm sure one or both of my cats will be making an appearance right on cue. So if you're doing this, see if you can lengthen your tailbone and find vertical space. So I'm finding space between my ribs and my hips here. Lift up, up, up. From here, take an inhale. And exhale, tip over towards the left. Inhale's gonna bring you back up to center. Exhale, tips you towards the right. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, release the hands down by your sides. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Swing the right ear to the right shoulder. 1 more each side. Ooh, I just got a nice little crack there. Left ear. Right ear. On an inhale, you'll reach the arms up by the ears again. Stretch tall. And then open your palms out super, super wide, like you're doing jazz hands. Super, super wide. And then make tight, 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 tight little fists. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We're gonna go back and forth. So super wide, tight, tight, tight. Super, super wide reach, tight fists. Start to move faster. Fully opening and fully closing every single time you do this. If you're not feeling it already, you're going to be soon. Faster. Fully open, fully close, fully open, fully close. Faster, 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 faster. You can do it. You can totally do it. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Fully open, fully close. And then release and shake your hands out a little bit. We're gonna come into our first downward facing dog of the day. So first things first, we're gonna find that tabletop again. And from your tabletop, you're gonna wing your elbows way out wide to the side and then wrap them towards the back of your mat. So we wanna keep this shoulder engagement anytime we're weight bearing in our hands today. And don't worry, I'm gonna remind you a lot. So keep these elbows wrapping back. And then from your tabletop, you're gonna tuck your toes behind you. Press into your hands and your feet. Press down and forward into your hands. And then lift your sit bones up and back behind you, finding a big V shape with your body. And this is our downward facing dog. So the same rules kind of apply as in tabletop. We want to keep rooting on into our index mounds here, spreading the fingers wide like you're placing your hands into gloves. You can widen your feet out a little bit. You can have bent knees. Sometimes that helps you find a little bit more length in your low back. You can bend them a ton. You can really bend them here. If your heels don't make it down to the mat, it does not matter. I'm thinking about lengthening the crown of my head down towards my hands without sinking into my shoulders. So I'm just thinking a long spine here, from the crown of my head all the way up to my tailbone. Keep those elbows wrapping back. Notice if they started to go out a little wonky, wrap them back. And then from here, I'm gonna lift up onto my tippy toes. I'm gonna shift weight into my left foot, and I'm gonna plug my right leg up into my hip socket. This might be a really small movement for you. You maybe can only get your pinky toe off, and that's okay. Do your best. Plug that leg in, keep your elbows wrapping back. Then I'm gonna take a little baby step forward with this right foot, stay on the ball of my foot, and place the foot down. Shifting weight into my right foot. I'm gonna plug the left leg in and up. And we're really thinking about vacuum sealing that leg in. Baby step forward, tiptoe. Right leg, forward, left leg, forward. Keep your navel hugging in towards your spine. Keep your core active, right leg. So we see now we're moving up to the top of our mat, but we're doing it slowly and mindfully and in a way that's more difficult. Once you get about here, you might want to come up on your fingertips. And you can also use your blocks, so you can place your hands on your blocks, and that's going to give you a little bit more height. And you can drag them back towards your feet more too if you need to do that. So once I get all the way up to the top, moving a little slower than I'd like to move, I'm going to release my heels, separate my feet out a little bit wider than my hips, deep bend in my knees, drape the top half of my body over the lower half. You can stay here or you can catch opposite elbows. Shake your whole body, yes and no. Release your fingertips down to the earth. Make sure that your feet are back hip width distance apart, so heel toe back in a little bit if you widened them out. On our next inhale, we're going to find length in the spine. So as you inhale, think about lifting through the crown of your head, drawing the shoulders away from your ears. If to find this shape, you need to bring your hands to your shins, then bring your hands to your shins. And then we'll fold again. Let's do 2 more with our breath. So inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Take a really deep bend in your knees, and then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, you're going to roll your way up to standing. Keep your head and neck heavy until the last possible moment. And once you get up, you'll roll your shoulders away from your ears, palms face forward. On an inhale, reach the arms up above your ears, up above your head rather. And as you exhale, think about hinging in your hips, so we're creating a deep hip crease here. Reach the arms out wide to the side and swan dive all the way forward. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come all the way up, arms stretch tall. Exhale, hands come to your heart. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Remember, bend your knees here if you need to make the ground more accessible to you, or use your blocks. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands to heart. We're gonna add on this time. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift. From here, move your blocks forward if you need to. I'm going to plant my hands, and 1 foot at a time, step back into a high plank, the top of a push-up. From here, I'm going to keep my elbows wrapping back. I'm pushing into my hands, so my upper back is a little bit puffy here. I'm hugging my navel into my spine. And you can do all this from your knees. So if you need to come down and drop your knees, many of us do, it's totally fine. But notice if you're doing this, right? This is not really doing much for you. Your core is not engaged. You're just kind of hanging out. So if you're coming into that drop knee position, make sure that they're behind your hips. You're keeping the tailbone long, the spine long. You're hugging your navel in towards your spine. I'm gonna do this first one from my knees here, this first vinyasa. So I'm gonna take a deep breath in. And then as I exhale, I'm keeping my elbows wrapping back and my core engaged. And I'm slowly lowering in one piece all the way down to my mat. From here, untuck my toes. I will untuck my toes. Charge my legs. So I use that cue a lot. What I mean by that is that if I'm doing this, my legs are not active at all. So I want to charge them by pressing the tops of my feet down, so much so that my kneecaps are lifting up off of the floor. I'm going to press my pubic bone down into my mat even more. Keep your spine long. And then from here, I'm going to press into my hands to whatever degree I can and lift my heart up. And then I'm rolling the shoulders away from my ears. And I'm going to pull my hands back in space here to pull my heart even more forward. So drag those hands back. They're not going to move, but you'll feel it. Take another inhale. Exhale, lower back down. And let's find a child's pose. So big toes touch, hips back towards the heels. You can have your knees together, or you can separate them out wider and sink back. Massage your forehead into your mat. This is our resting shape, child's poses. If you need to come here at any point, you can do that. And again, you can pause the video so you can have the beauty of being able to do that too. I'm going to press back up into my tabletop. Tuck my toes behind me. And then from here, we're going to start to hover our knees off of the mat. So press down and forward into your hands again. Hover your knees just about an inch and activate your core. Hug, hug, hug. Tap the right knee down. Pull it back up. Tap the left knee down. Pull it back up. Tap both knees down at the same time, the same way, pull them back up. Downward facing dog. Lift the hips back up high behind you. Pedal out your legs a little bit if you need to here. Bend your knees, look forward. We're not going to do those little tiptoe actions this time. Just take as many steps as you need to get all the way up to the front of your mat. So that could be 2 big ones, that could be a million tiny ones. And fold in. On your next inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise up to standing. Exhale, prayer to heart. We're going to do 2 more of those sun salutations, and we're going to move a little bit quicker. So inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands. 1 foot at a time, step back, high plank. Drop your knees if you want to drop your knees. I'm going to stay up this time. Press into your hands. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower in one piece all the way down. Untuck the toes, charge the legs, press into your hands, lift, drag those hands back. Shoulders are moving away from your ears. Notice if you're doing this, and wrap them down and away. From here, we're going to lower back down, and this time lift up and back into a downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Make your way up to the top of your mat. You can hop, you can step, you can crawl, you can dance, fold in. Halfway lift. On your exhale, bow. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, length. Exhale, step or float back into your high plank or your chaturanga. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower. Untuck the toes, charge the legs, find your back bend, inhale. And exhale, down dog. Adding on here on your next inhale, reach your right leg up and back behind you. Exhale, look between your thumbs and pull your knee in towards your chest, shifting your shoulders forward over your wrist. Press into your hands a lot. Inhale, leg goes high. Exhale, stack your hips so you're opening up towards the side of your mat, and you're going to bend your right knee in towards your sit bone here. Notice what your shoulders are doing. Keep those elbows wrapping back. Find more length in your left side body. If you're collapsing way down, lift up. Square the hips, straighten the leg, reach through your heel. Take an inhale. Exhale, shift forward again. Knee comes in towards your chest, push into your hands. And then as lightly as you can, you're gonna step your right foot forward. And if it wasn't light, okay. You're gonna sink your back knee down and bring your arms up by your ears, finding a low lunge. I'm gonna do that after I adjust my clothes. Your back toes can be tucked or untucked here. And from here, I want to think about magnetizing my front leg to my back leg. So I can hang out like this, right? But I'm not really engaging anything. So I'm pulling my right hip back and I'm dragging my left hip forward. So everything's pulling into that whole core of my body again. I'm finding that vertical space once more between my ribs and my hips. And then I'm breathing in this shape. This is so weird to teach a class without music. If you know me, you know that music is really important to my classes. So this might end up being like a 2-hour class or a 20-minute class because I don't have my playlist sort of tell me where I'm supposed to be within the class. We'll all survive. Take another inhale here. Now as you exhale, we're gonna tuck the back toes, lift the back knee up, airplane the arms alongside the body. So I'm in kind of an angle over my front thigh. Take another inhale. Exhale, I'm gonna bring just my left hand down to the earth. You can come up onto fingertips or your block, or both, and then lift your right arm up into the air. Keep driving into your back big toe. Notice what that leg is doing, press into it. Take another inhale here. Exhale, your right hand's gonna release. Everybody bring your blocks right by your right foot. And then straighten your front leg. Stay up high on the ball of your back foot. Straighten your front leg. Keep pulling that right outer hip back and drawing the left hip forward and fold over your front leg. If your front leg isn't all the way straight, don't worry about it. You can have a micro bend in it. All right, now here comes the fun part, a fun part. So I'm gonna stay in this general shape. I'm driving into my back big toe. My heel is over my second toe here. Doing your best. And then I'm gonna push down into these blocks a lot. So look at the difference between this and this, big difference. So I'm gonna push down into my blocks a ton or my Steinbeck or whatever you've got. And then I'm gonna hover my right foot off of the earth, maybe. Then I'm gonna release it down. And I'm gonna pull my shoulders back and lengthen my heart forward. Don't worry, we're gonna do it again. So, puff into the upper back, press into your hands. A lot, a lot, a lot. Keep driving into that back big toe and see if you can hover that right leg and release. I'm gonna do it from the front so you can see how I'm plugging that leg in. It's the same plugging action that we found whenever we were in our down dog and moving up to the top of our mat. All right, so I'm here. Driving into my back big toe, I'm pulling that right outer hip back. I'm gonna puff through my upper back. I'm gonna hover this leg. And then from here, I'm gonna squeegee the leg all the way back. Maybe it drags the whole way, maybe it doesn't. And I'm lifting up and back into that three-legged down dog again. So the right leg is lifting, and your hands can stay on blocks. And then release that right leg down. And then stay on your blocks here. We're gonna slowly roll forward to a high plank. I'm gonna keep my toes tucked. I'm gonna keep my arms as straight as I can. And I'm lowering my hips down into a little up dog, a different variation. And then I'm gonna lift up and back. Downward facing dog. Plant the hands, press those blocks forward, and find your down dog again. On an inhale, we're gonna roll forward to that high plank once more and lower all the way down to the earth. Tent your fingertips outside of your mat. Again, like you've got little mountain peaks underneath them. Untuck the toes, charge the legs, squeeze, press into the tops of your feet. Draw your chin towards your chest, your shoulders up by your ears. And on an inhale, you're gonna imagine you're pulling that inhale up from the base of your toes. So once you feel your breath start to hit your heart, you're gonna press into your hands, lift, and then right at the top is when the head comes up, the shoulders roll away, and the heart puffs forward. This is called Funky Cobra. You'll hear me say that a lot. Lower back down. We're gonna do 2 more with our breath. So draw that inhale up, keep the legs charged. Press, lift. Lower on your exhale. Press, lift, inhale. Lower, exhale. Reach your arms alongside your body. Palms are gonna face down. You're gonna keep your palms down, and on an inhale, lift up just head, chest, and shoulders. Press into your hands. Add the legs. Reach. Add the arms. Reach. One at a time, reach your arms alongside your ears. And now we're in shark-infested water, and we have to get away from sharks, so start swimming. Keep swimming. Swim faster. Release and rest, because that was ridiculous. Woo! Sometimes it feels good to kind of shake your butt from side to side here. You can rest your head to one side. Bring your hands by your chest. Lift up and back to your down dog. If you want to set your blocks again at the top of your mat, you can do that. If you would move them somewhere else, like I did. All right, let's go to the other side. So on your next inhale, keep those elbows wrapping back and lift your left leg up and back behind you. Now, as you exhale, you're gonna look forward between your hands, pull your knee in towards your chest and push into your hands a ton. Lift the leg up and back. Bend your knee, stack your hips, and open up towards the sidewall. Now notice what that right shoulder's doing. If you're collapsing like this, try not to. Find length, lift. Press into that right hand. Square the hips back out, straighten the leg, reach through that heel. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, knee to nose, round, puff, 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 as light as you can. Place the left foot down. Sink the back knee down. And reach your arms up by your ears, finding your low lunge. Again, I want to think about pulling my left heel back, and my right hip forward. So I can be hanging out without engagement, and maybe this feels good, but I can get a lot more muscle activation if I'm drawing in towards my center, and I'm using all that activation and all that engagement to keep my core really engaged as well. We'll take another inhale here. As you exhale, you're tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, and airplaning the arms, bowing out over an angle, at an angle over your front thigh. Keep this action of wrapping your left hip back and your right hip dragging forward. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower just the right hand down. Lift the left arm high. Remember, you can always use your blocker. You can come up on the fingertips here as well. Take one more deep breath in. As you exhale, you're going to bring both hands down and you're going to drag your blocks back by your left heel or your left foot. Straighten your front leg. Keep this action of driving into your back big toe and pulling your left hip back and fold over your front leg. Now start to lift up halfway. Wrap your fingertips around your blocks. So you've got a really nice base here. Drive into that back big toe. And then notice the difference between this and this. We want the second one. So press into your hands. Lift, lift, lift. And then maybe you can hover that foot. This side is a lot harder for me. And then release. Draw the heart forward. Again, we're going to do it 2 more times. Press into your blocks. Hug everything in navel to spine. Hover. Release. Draw the heart forward, shoulders back. Press into your blocks. Hover that foot. This time you're going to squeegee it back. Maybe you can keep it floating the whole time, maybe not. To a three-legged down dog. I am limited by space here. Oh well. And then release that left foot down. On your next inhale, slowly roll your spine all the way forward into a high plank. I'm going to keep my toes tucked and my arms straight, and I'm just going to lower my hips and draw my heart forward into this little version of an up dog. Now you might be up here, your hips might not be able to come down that far. That's okay, don't worry about it. And then gather your core here, so hug your navel to your spine. Lift up and back, down dog. Press those blocks out in front of you again. Find a regular down dog. On your inhale, roll forward, high plank. Exhale, lower down. Remember, drop your knees if you need to. Untuck the toes, charge the legs, tent the fingertips to the outsides of your mat. Pull an inhale up from the base of your toes. Tuck your chin to your chest and your shoulders towards your ears. And then start to lift the heart as you find that inhale. And exhale, you'll lower. 2 more times in this funky cobra. Lift as you inhale. Exhale, lower. Lift, inhale. Exhale, lower. Arms reach alongside your body. Charge the legs still. And on an inhale, lift up just head, chest, and shoulders. Press into your hands. Press the pubic bone down. I always need that reminder. Add the legs. Add the arms. This time we're going to come into a cactus shape with our arms. So goalpost, bent arms. And then lift up a little bit higher and release just halfway. Lift up a little bit higher, release halfway. Lift a little tiny bit higher, release halfway. Interlace your hands behind your head. Lift up, lower halfway. This is hard to do while I'm teaching. Lift, lower, lift. Lower everything down, slide your blocks out of the way. Release and rest, shake your butt back and forth. You can windshield wiper your legs back and forth, side to side, doing this action. Whatever you need. All right, let's up and back, down dog. Your blocks can stay off to the side for a moment, but just have them handy in case you need them later. Look forward in between your hands. Step, hop, jump, crawl, dance up to the front and fold. Shake out your head. Shake out your whole body. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Now this time, bring your feet all the way to touch. They can also stay at hip width distance. We're moving into a chair pose here. So you probably know which you like better. If you don't, try them both. My big toes are gonna touch. My heels are just like a sliver, a hair apart. I'm gonna sink weight back into my heels as my hips drop low. And then I'm gonna reach my arms alongside my ears. And I'm breathing here. See if you can lift all 10 toes, spread them, and place them back down. On my next inhale, I'm going to lift all the way up to standing, and I'm going to pull my right knee in with me. Find something steady to look at in front of you. And then I'm going to sink back down into my chair pose. Lift up, right knee draws with me. Chair pose. This time, I'm just going to hover my left foot off of the floor. So I'm keeping this like bent, but I'm just going to hover, tiny little bit. Then I'm placing it back down. And then I'm hovering my right foot. Place back down. One more each side, hover. Release. Hover. Release. This time hover. Come up to standing, bring the knee with you. Cross your ankle over your thigh Open this knee out wide to the side like it's a book. Like it's your Steinbeck book. Ooh, I'm about to fall. And then bring your hands to heart and sink your hips back. So we want to find a deep hip crease in this right side. So see how much you can shift your weight back. You're gonna feel a stretch, probably. You're gonna feel a stretch right along here, right along this left outer hip. Now come all the way back up to standing. Your left knee's gonna come with you. I'm gonna swing this leg out to the side. I'll mirror you. Swing it out and pull it back in. Swing out, pull back in. One more, swing, pull back in. Press the sole of your foot forward towards me. Notice if you leaned way back when you did that. Keep your core engaged. Press the palms of your hands out towards the sides. And then find that figure four chair again. And then come back, sole of the foot forward, palms out. Figure four chair. And out. And chair. This time as you reach out, you're gonna slice through the air with this left leg and find a warrior three with your palms still flexing here, your fingertips still up. Now notice what this right hip is doing. Pull it back, vacuum this left leg into your hip socket. Those same actions that we've been working. Rise back up, ooh, 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 or not. And kick the sole of the foot in front of you. Woo! Release this foot and shake out your legs and shake out anything else that needs to be shaken out. Let's move to the other side. We're gonna find that chair pose again. You're gonna hover your right knee or your right foot. Rise up. Cross the ankle over your thigh. Hands come to your heart as you sink the bum low, figure four chair. So again, I'm shifting my weight back so that I can find this deep hip crease in my left side, and so that I send the stretch more into my right outer hip. Now I'll come back up to center, pull my right knee with me, swing the knee out, and come back. Swing wide, and come back. Swing wide, and come back. Kick the sole of the foot out in front of you. Notice what you did if you leaned back. And then cross the ankle, figure four chair. Come back up, kick. Press the palms out to the side walls. Figure four chair. Come back. Figure four chair. Reach out. Warrior three. Send this leg back behind you. Ooh. Come back up. See if you can reach the sole of the foot out in front of you. Ooh. And then release and shake everything out. All right, let's take a vinyasa. So at the top of your mat, sweep the arms up. Swan dive forward. On your inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step back, high plank. Drop your knees if you want to drop your knees. Lower. Back bend. Down dog. Let's take a clearing breath here. So big deep inhale. And an open mouth exhale. Make any noise that you need to make. Step your feet in a little bit closer to your hands, but then move them out wider. Mat width distance even would be good. Reach your right hand back for the outside of your left leg somewhere, and then pull your side body through. And maybe you can even look up at the sky. Let's switch. Right hand plants. Left hand reaches back. Grab the outside of that leg. Pull. Come back. Bump those feet back and together more. Down dog. On an inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Shift your shoulders forward over your wrists. We're going to do that with breath twice more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Puff, 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 push. Lift. In, light as you can. Step that foot down. And reach up into a high lunge. So I'm in that same lunge shape that we had earlier where we had our arms alongside the body. But this time I'm going to lift upright. And I'm going to reach my arms alongside my ears. Now from here, you might want to bend into your back knee a little bit to find some more length in your tailbone. So right now, my pelvis is kind of dumping forward a little bit, and I also need to be bending into my front knee. This is a very good exercise for me to do, to see myself doing these. So my pelvis is dumping forward a little bit. So how I can correct that, is by bending into my back knee and then finding length in my tailbone. So sometimes I have to bend into it quite a bit, but we want this relationship between hips and ribs. Ah yes, there's Maggie. Maggie, get away from there. And then I'm gonna stay here, and I'm gonna reach my arms back up alongside my ears. Take an inhale, and exhale. Open to a warrior two. So I'm spinning my back heel down. I'm bending deeply into my front knee. My arms are gonna go out to a T shape, and I'm gonna gaze over my right middle finger. I'm gonna flip my palms up to face the sky and find an exalted warrior. So left hand's gonna come down my leg and my right arm's gonna reach by my ear, but I'm still bending into this front knee. Probably not as much as I should be. From here, I'm gonna find a prayer twist. So I'm gonna move slowly and I'm gonna come back through that warrior two. I'm gonna spin onto the ball of my back foot. I'm gonna tack my left elbow outside of my right thigh. Push my hands together and twist my whole torso towards the right side of my mat. Press into that back big toe. Now I'm gonna look at the floor for balance, and I'm gonna try to take a big step forward with my left foot and find a twisted chair. So looking at the floor, it helps. I'm just gonna take a big step forward, twisted chair. Come back into a chair pose, arms reach up by the ears. Rise up onto the tippy toes. Squeeze the inner ankles together. And slow as you can, lower your hips down towards your heels. And bring your hands to your heart, toe stand. Breathe. If this is easy for you, close your eyes. Okay. Go ahead and sit back onto your bums for a second because I'm going to show you where we're going. We're going to get back into that toe stand, but we're going to move out of it, and it's kind of tricky. So we're going to find our toe stand, and you're going to go ahead and set up your blocks whenever we get back into it, just like I've got mine here. So I'm going to pull my blocks back closer to my feet, and then I'm going to shift weight into my right foot, and I'm going to see if I can kick the left sole of the foot out in front of me. Pistol squat. I'm going to bring that left foot back. And I'm going to shift weight into the left foot, kick the right foot out. Then I'm going to bring it back. And then this time I'm going to kick the left foot out again. I'm going to press into my blocks. You can stay on fingertips or you can come down. I'm going to press into my blocks. I'm going to lift. I'm going to release that right heel as I go. And I'm going to send this left leg back behind me in an L shape with my legs. So I'm in a supported warrior three here. My right leg, or my left leg is back. Just like that, okay? So let's try it. So you're gonna come back into your toe stand, grab your blocks, pull them back towards your feet, in line with your feet. You can stay up on your fingertips. If you have really long arms, you might not actually need the blocks at all. But it's always good to have them there because it makes it a lot easier. All right, let's try it. You're gonna shift weight into your left foot first and kick the sole of your right foot out in front of you. Flex your toes. And then pull back. Other side. And then pull back. Here comes the fun bit. Kick the left sole of the foot out in front of you. Push into your hands, find that rounding of your upper back. Lift, release the right heel, and send the left leg back into your supported warrior three. You can ditch the blocks for a second. And then from here, we're gonna find a standing splits. So you're gonna get heavy over your left or your right leg. Ugh. And then lift your left leg up high and fold it. And try and keep your hips square. So again, we can do it like this, right? That's a version. But for today, I want you guys to keep this action of plugging that leg in as you fold. And then slowly bring your left foot down and meet your right. And take a ragdoll. So feet move a little wider. Grab opposite elbows. And shake things out. All right, down dog. And just make sure that your blocks are gonna be ready for you so you can place them at the top of your mat once we do that whole pistol squat awfulness on the other side. Down dog. Option to take a vinyasa. I'm gonna take it with you. You don't have to do this part. You don't have to do anything. Rise up onto your toes. Roll forward. Bend the elbows and lower. Back bend. Down dog. All right, lift the left leg high. Look forward between your hands. Keep your elbows wrapping back. Notice if you lost that, knee comes in towards your chest, round puff. Lift, round puff, lift, round puff. Hello, Maggie. Light as you can. Step the foot. Reach up high, crescent lunge. So you can really charge your legs here. That same action we found in low lunge, where you're pulling your front leg back and your right or your back leg forward, and that's going to help you find your balance as you come up. And then bend into that front knee and adjust your pelvis and adjust your tailbone. So if you need to bend into this back knee to find this action, so see, sometimes I have to really bend into it a lot, which ends up sort of being harder because then you're working in both of your legs. Reach the arms up when you're ready, if you're ready. Deep breath in, warrior two. So I'm gonna switch sides because this is weird. Bending into that front knee. Back foot is spun down. You want to roughly align your front ankle with your back arch, but we all have different anatomies. What we were trying to do is square ourselves towards the long edge of our mat and keep this knee in front moving wide, gazing over the left middle finger. Flip your palms. Exalted warrior tip back. Keep bending into that front knee more than you want to. Prayer twist. Move slowly. So I'm going to slowly bring this left hand back out. Right hand comes to that warrior two before I transition. And then I'm slowly spinning onto the ball of my back foot. I'm spiraling the right arm around. I'm going to tap my elbow outside of the thigh. Palms are going to come together. And then I'm pressing into my hands to spiral my whole torso towards the left side of my mat. And you can also bring your back knee down for this, or whatever other modifications you know your body needs. I'm gonna look at the floor for balance. I'm gonna try to take one big step forward, but maybe you might need 1,000 tiny steps, that's okay. So however many you need, look at the floor, big step up, twisted chair. Chair pose. Rise into the tippies. Slow as you can, lower. Hug your inner ankles. Hands come to heart. And breathe. Go ahead and take your seat so that we can set up for that pistol squat business on the other side. So you're gonna grab your blocks and you wanna just kind of bring them back roughly in line with your feet. So once you have your blocks where you want them, you're gonna come up onto your tippy toes, hug your inner ankles together. Come up onto fingertips here if you need to, or ditch the blocks entirely. Shift weight into your left foot. See if you can kick that right foot out in front of you. And come back. I promise you guys, these videos will get better as I realize what the best spots are in my house. This is sort of a disaster right now. Shift weight, I'll probably just delete this later. Shift weight into the right foot. Kick the sole of the left foot out in front of you. From here, press into your hands, press into your blocks. See if you can lift, plug that left leg in as you release your right heel down and squeegee that leg back, supported warrior three, L shape with your legs. And then ditch your blocks, or you can keep them. Standing splits. This is the side that we just did. So come back. Kick the sole of the right foot out in front of you. Squeegee, supported warrior three. And then ditch the blocks. Standing splits. You know, if you take my class at the studio, you know that this is just how I am. And I sometimes forget sides and sometimes do the same side twice. We're all just doing the best that we can. Bring that right foot down. Ragdoll. Open those feet a little wider. Catch opposite elbows. Let everything hang. Shake side to side a little bit. All right. Halfway lift on your next inhale. As you exhale, you're going to slowly lower all the way down to your bum. Kathunk. And find a boat pose. So you've got lots of options. The first option is to keep your feet flat on your mat. Bring your hands to your thighs or to the floor or to blocks. And then draw your heart forward here. Keep your shoulder blades alongside the back of your heart. So you're kind of wrapping them in. Is option number one. You might choose to keep your hands here and extend your legs, keeping them bent or floor. You might also choose to straighten your legs. Toes are reaching up somewhere roughly in line with your eyeballs. You can keep your leg or your arms here, or you can reach them out in front of you, finding whatever version of this that you'd like. Hold. Breathe. Now cross your right ankle over your left, right ankle over the left. Hug your ankles in and your heels in towards your bum. Squeeze your knees in towards one another and reach forward. And breathe. Boat pose, whatever version. Left ankle over right, shin over shin. Hug knees in, hug heels in, reach forward. And then release your feet down. A little bit wider than your hips is fine. Grab onto your shins. Take an inhale to draw your heart forward. Exhale, round everything back. 2 more. Forward. Back. Forward. Back. And then grab your blocks again wherever they are. And you're going to place them back by your hips. So you want them pretty far back. Yeah, Maggie, we're really interrupting the line of sight here. Okay, so you want them back by your hips, best you can. Lowest setting. You could also do the medium setting or the high setting, but this is going to give you the most firm foundation here because we're getting ready to push down into these blocks to try and lift our butt up off of the floor. And it's really hard, so just give yourself some grace. So we're going to find this boat pose again. Okay, whatever version is fine, seriously. Your right ankle is going to cross over your left, shin over shin, ankle over ankle. Hug your knees in together and to your chest and hug your heels in towards your bum. Then from here, I'm going to bring my hands down to my blocks And I'm gonna squeeze everything in super, 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 super tight, and I'm gonna shift forward, and I'm gonna press into my blocks, and I'm gonna lift my butt up, and then I'm gonna extend my legs out, and then I'm gonna come back down. And I'm gonna laugh it off if that didn't happen. Laughter is good. All right, other side. And then this is it. This is the end of the heat. So then we're done. It's cool down from here. Bow pose. Left ankle, left shin over right shin. Hug knees together and in towards your heart. Hug your heels in towards your bum. We want to create the tightest little ball that we can, or else you're not going to go anywhere. Bring your hands to your blocks. Squeeze everything in. Grip your blocks here. Push into your hands. That same puffing action that we found, that we have been finding. Press. Maybe you lift, squeeze. Maybe you extend. Maybe you could thumb it down. All right. Let's cool down. So, reach your legs out in front of you if they're not there already. Arms are going to reach up long and tall and cascade over your legs here. Bend your knees if you need to bend your knees, especially if you already bend your knees in a standing forward fold, then bend them here too. It makes sense, right? And then slowly come on back up. And come onto your back so you can get there however you want to get there. Well, we're going to take 3 rounds of back bends here. And you have your blocks or your book or whatever you're working with. So you're welcome to take a supported bridge for the duration of this whole back bend sequence. So I'm going to take a supported bridge to start so you see what that looks like, and then I'm going to walk through the other 2 versions as we go. So you're going to bring your feet flat onto your mat. You're going to walk your heels in close towards your hips. It's sort of a misnomer, or misnomer is not the right word. It's a thing that yoga teachers like to say that you should be able to graze your heels with your fingertips, but for some people that's actually never going to be possible. So just hug them in as close as you can. And then from here, I'm going to have my back flat. If you were lifting your head up with me, don't do that. Press into your feet. Lift your hips up. And I want to slide my shoulder blades onto my back. So you saw me there, just kind of shimmy my shoulder blades in. And then I can grab my block. And you can place it at whatever level you want. And you're going to place it at your sacrum, which is that big bony plate that is the base of your spine. And I recommend starting on the lowest level or the medium level. The highest level, you have to have a fair amount of spinal mobility and hip mobility and all this, because it's a lot in your hip flexors too whenever we lift the hips up. And then if you feel really good here and you're like, I could nap here, great, nap here. And forget everything else that I'm about to say. If you are not in a supported bridge and you lifted your hips up and you didn't place the block underneath your hips, then you come down, you bring your hips back down whenever you're ready to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with you. And once you do that, widen your feet out, let your knees fall together. Hands can be wherever you want. Take a moment to breathe. And we just did a lot of work. So allow yourself to just feel whatever it is that's coming up, whatever it is that's churning around inside. Allow yourself to just sit with it. Again, remember, we're not trying to judge our thoughts here. We're sitting with them, and then we're choosing. All right, so next round. I'm going to take a regular bridge pose so you can see what that looks like, and then I'm going to take a wheel for the last round. So you're going to press into your feet again. You're going to lift your hips up. You're going to shimmy your shoulder blades onto your back. You can just kind of wiggle them in just like I did. I'm lifting my hips up, up, up. I'm driving into my feet still. And I maybe am going to interlace my fingers behind my low back, but you don't have to do that. And I just did something really bad and I looked at you guys. I should not have done that. Don't do that. Don't move your head. And then when you're ready here, you're going to release the hands, the hips, the heart space. the breath, the everything. Hi, baby. Okay, last one. So I'm going to do wheel for this last one, but you can do the supported bridge or you can do the bridge pose as well. I'm going to set it up the same way. I'm going to start in a bridge pose. So my feet are going to be flat. I'm hugging my knees in line with my hips still. Sometimes the first thing they want to do is they want to wing out wide to the side like this, but try and keep them in line with your hips. And then I'm going to set it up the same way. So I'm going to press into my feet to lift my hips up. I'm going to slide my shoulder blades onto my back, and then if I want to go further, I'm going to place my hands by my ears with my fingertips facing my shoulders. Now from here, I'm going to keep driving into my big toes and my whole sole of my foot. I'm going to press up to the top of my head, and then I'm going to pause here. Now I'm going to walk my hands back a little, and then I'm going to plug my arm bones back. You guys probably saw that, big difference. Plug your arm bones back, press into your hands, wrap your elbows back, and lift up. And then I'm thinking pulling my shoulder blades into the back of my heart. So I'm wrapping as I'm pushing. And then I'm going to relax my head and neck if I can. And I'm going to keep my knees in line with my hips. And I'm breathing first and foremost. If you've already come down, great. If you haven't, rise up onto your toes, look up towards the sky, bend your elbows, lower head, chest, bum, release. Resist the urge to pull your knees in towards your chest here, especially if you were in that wheel pose. Because if we think about it, like you're not going to break yourself or anything, but if we think about it, we're going from extreme spinal extension, that big arc in our spine, to extreme spinal flexion. If we pull our knees in towards our chest, then we're rounding a ton. So again, you're not going to like break your back or anything, but that's a lot to go from that big arc to that big rounding. So we want to give ourselves a moment to just have a nice neutral shape before we do anything else. And then we're going to take a twist. And for today, I'm going to just lead you through a really basic one. If you have another one that you like, great. So you're going to bring your arms out to that cactus shape that we found earlier when we were on our bellies. You're going to hug your knees in towards your chest about halfway. I know I said don't do that, but we've given ourselves that opportunity to have that neutral shape for our spine to release a little. So hug your knees in about halfway. And then you're going to let the knees drop over towards the right. And you're going to drop your torso and your gaze over towards the left. You can increase the intensity of this by pulling your knees closer towards your arm. You can decrease the intensity by shifting them away from your arm. And if this doesn't feel supportive for your shoulders, then you can also reach your arms out to a T, or maybe overhead, or whatever feels good. If you want a little bit more in your core, we're going to transition trying to activate the core. So you're going to hug your knees in. Imagine that you've got one leg instead of two legs. Squeeze them in. Use your core. Activate navel to spine. Hug navel to spine. And pull your knees back up in one piece. And then in one piece, let them fall to the other side. Then you can shift your torso and your gaze towards the right. We're winding down here, so just let your breath be really natural. You don't need to control it. Hug your knees back in towards your chest. Maybe you're working that core. And you're squeezing them in like you've got one leg instead of two, and you're pulling. And then we're going to give ourselves a big hug and a big thank you. So wrap your arms around your shins. Hug your forehead and your nose up towards your knees. Squeeze everything in. Maybe kiss your knees if you want to. And then go ahead and release your legs out long on your mat. Release your arms by your sides. We're heading into Savasana here, which is our final resting shape. So a traditional Savasana looks like where I am. I've got my legs extended wider than my hips, my arms by my sides with my palms up. But the whole point of Savasana is for you to be able to rest. So whatever shape you can rest in, take it. And this is a really important piece of our practice, especially right now. We need rest. We need to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest, so that we're not walking around in fight or flight all day long. So please don't skip this part. We're going to take about 3 minutes here, but you can stay longer. If you have time for a little nap, take a little nap.